This is going to be a video tutorial of one way to effectively apply the tile style Zimmerit pattern on Tamiya's older Jagdpanther kit. But before we get to the demonstration, let's have a quick look at some Jagdpanthers and their Zimmerit patterns. So I have a bit of a confession. I've already started the Zimmerit texturing on the front of the hull, and since it turned out so well, I wasn't going to wash it off to start over for this video. So with that in mind, we will go through a list of tools and materials that we will need to continue our way around the hull and finish up the rest of the Zimmerit. The material that I like to use for the Zimmerit is Elmer's wood filler. It's water cleanup and solvent free, so it will not damage the finish on your model. You'll need some kind of an artist's knife similar to this here, and this comes out of the painting supply area of Michael's Craft Store. And the reason why I like using this knife here is that it's very thin, it's super flexible, and it comes to a very sharp point here, which works good for getting into tight corners and stuff like that if you have to. Next up, we're going to be using this plastic mesh material. I think it can be found at most home improvement stores like Menards, Home Depot, or Lowe's. Not to be confused with screen door screen. This is a little bit bigger squares, and it's a little thicker material. It's made out of plastic, which other types of screen and mesh are metal or nylon. This plastic just seems to work the best. And to cut out your templates, you'll just need a simple pair of scissors, an X-Acto knife for making more detailed cuts, and maybe just a magic marker for making the rough outlines of your templates and for marking more detailed areas for cutting. So with that, let's zoom in and we'll take a closer look at what I have done to this model so far. So here is the front of our superstructure with the completed Zimmerit, and I'll go over some of the details of how I did that. Here is our template for the front. As you can see, I had to trim out for the driver's visor area and also the bow machine gun. It's absolutely essential that your template lays flat against the plastic. If it doesn't, your tile pattern will not be very crisp and clear. So once I had the template flat against the plastic, I troweled on an even coat of the Elmer's wood filler, and I just kept kind of working it back and forth, making sure it was a nice, even, smooth coat. And once I was satisfied with the way it looked, I let it sit overnight to dry. And once it was dry, I was able to start peeling up the template, kind of taking my time and making sure that none of it was going to rip off with the mesh. About 98% of it came out perfect. There was this small little area right here that did come up with the template, but it kind of looks like an area of chipped Zimmerit, and I'll probably leave it. But if there was an area that did peel up that you didn't like, you could just trowel on a little bit of the wood filler in the damaged area, and once it was dry, come back with your X-Acto knife and rescribe in those lines, and it would be virtually impossible to tell that there was a repair there. So going through all those steps, I think we are ready to do the back of the superstructure area. So I'll gather together the tools and materials and we'll get after it. So I was just checking the back of the superstructure, getting a game plan together for the Zimmerit, and I noticed right in here there's a imprint of a circle molded into the back there. So I checked the instructions to see what was going on, and sure enough, there is a piece that gets glued to that location, A45. It looks like it's a hatch. So I found the piece on the sprue, and this is it right here. So what I'm going to do is take my micrometer and measure that piece and make a circle mask to put over that spot, so after the Zimmerit is applied, I can chip away at that a little bit, find that mask, peel it up, and then I'll be able to glue my hatch right on that location without any problems at all. Alrighty, we're back. I made the circle mask for the hatch, so we are good to go there. I want to show you the template that we'll be using for the rear of the superstructure. As you can see, I had to cut out this area to fit over the radio antenna mount. So that fits really well. We've got a good snug fit along the bottom here, so that's perfect. And I think we're ready to start applying our wood filler. And here is what that wood filler looks like. I did add some water to it and mix it up a little bit, so it is a little more liquidy now than what it used to be, and I think that helps in the application here. And basically we're just going to put some on the putty knife and start troweling it on there. Right now we're not real concerned with the thickness. We just want to make sure that we get it all on there. And then we'll start kind of smoothing it out and making it a little more uniform. And it doesn't matter if you get a little bit of the paste like on the radio antenna there. This stuff can all be cleaned off and chipped away if you need it to be, so no problem with that. And it looks like we've just about got adequate coverage. And right now I'm just kind of smoothing it out. That will help us in the peeling of the mesh process if it's smooth. Okay, that's not looking too bad. And then you can see a little bit of the excess has gushed through the mesh there, but that's not a big deal. That will come right off. So pretty much now we got to let it sit like this, probably overnight, let it dry thoroughly, and then the next time we'll be able to pull that mesh right off there and see if we get just as good a results as what we did on the front. So that's it for today. Well, it's a new day. Our wood filler appears to be dry, so I think we're ready to peel our mesh template and see how we did. So I'm just going to kind of carefully grab an edge and see what happens. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. All the wood filler did stay on there, and nothing peeled up. We didn't get any areas of chipped Zimmerit. Now at this point here, you just gotta kind of take your time and you know, chip away all the extra that accumulated from when we troweled it on, and kind of clean up those edges. So I think I'll go ahead and do that and kind of show you the our final product. So let me take care of that and I'll get back with you. And here is our completed Zimmerit job on the back of the superstructure. I went around and cleaned up all the edges. I found our circle mask underneath the Zimmerit right there and peeled that up and actually glued on the hatch door there. Here is the radio antenna. And what I wanted to add is that I took some Tamiya extra thin cement and my paintbrush, and I actually painted on the glue over the Zimmerit in the hopes that it'll make it a little more durable for the rest of the application coming up, because I think I'm going to be putting some tape along the edges here, because if you remember when we peeled off that last mesh template, you know, it kind of oozed out, you know, onto the back sides here. Well, when we have the template going up and down the sides here, it's going to want to ooze into this area here on both sides, so I'm going to mask that off. I just wanted to use the thin cement to hopefully make that a little more durable for the masking. So I think we are now ready to do the sides, or at least one side at a time. And what I'm going to have to do there now is make up some masks for where the tool racks are and the barrel cleaning rod holder goes, and also for the spare track holder back here. That way we can put the masks down, put the Zimmerit over the whole thing, and then we'll be able to peel that tape up, and we'll have good plastic to be able to glue our pieces to. And I just think that's going to be the better route to go, instead of trying to chip out all the Zimmerit and find out where you got to be with everything. So that's the next move. I'm going to make up those masks, and then we'll be able to apply the Zimmerit to the side of the hull. Okay, I think we're just about ready to apply the Zimmerit to the side of the superstructure. As you can see, I've got a couple places masked off here for the spare track holder, the barrel cleaning rod tube, and the front tool storage rack area. This is the template that I made up. As you can see, I had to make two cutouts for these two supports, and this little support here was small enough to fit through one of the grooves, so I think we're going to be in good shape there. And this is simply going to fit over like that. And one thing, or how I'm going to line this up, make final adjustments, is I need to make sure that this line here stays level with the engine deck. That way all of our lines will continue straight through. There's a lot of weird angles and stuff on the superstructure and the bottom of the hull here, all kinds of weird angles, but this is what we're going to be basically lining everything up with, and it should come out just fine. So with that, let's get started. Okay, I might just do a little more smoothing out here, and that'll probably be it for today. We'll have to let it sit overnight and dry, and we'll be able to peel it again tomorrow. And welcome back. It's a new day. It's time to peel off our mesh template and see how our Zimmerit turned out. So I'm just going to try to start peeling the template off very carefully. So far, so good. Okay, for the most part that didn't turn out too bad. I think I'll get all the edges all cleaned up and we'll take a little better look at it. So I kind of wanted to show you how these tape masks were peeling off. You can see I've got the spare track holder mask already peeled off there, and we're working on the barrel cleaning rod tube mask. So that peels off and leaves a really nice clean surface to glue your parts on. Plus, if you look at photographs of actual vehicles, they would have applied Zimmerit around those particular parts on the vehicle. Next up, we'll get the tool rack mask off. And what I'm going to simply try to do there is expose one corner and get that started. And there we go. That didn't turn out too bad. Okay, I've got the side all cleaned up and wanted to give you a little closer look at the details. I'm really happy with the way the tape masks peeled off, and I've actually already test fitted the pieces and they look great. We did have one troubled spot when we peeled the mesh template off, and that was right in here, down close to the bottom of the hull, which there's a rail that gets glued across the top of these supports here, and you probably won't see that anyways. So what I'm going to do is wait until I prime the entire model and just see how it looks, because it might just blend and you probably won't even notice it anyways. But even so, once it's primered, you can still go back and touch up those areas and re-scribe in those crosshatch lines with your X-Acto knife, and you'd have a very, very hard time telling that there was a repair there. So I guess time will tell what we need, if we need to do anything with that, but for right now I don't think we do. I've got this side already masked off, so we're ready to apply some more Zimmerit. And here I just wanted to show how easy it is to clean the wood filler off our mesh templates. I just simply have a bowl of warm water, put that in there, let that soak for a second, and then you can take your toothbrush and simply start scrubbing it off, and it comes right off there. And we'll just dry that off, and it's ready to go again. And here we are, sizing up our mesh template, taking special note to be sure that our white lines are running parallel with our engine deck, or at least as close as what we can make it. And once again, here's some detail shots of the cutouts for the support brackets. Now the front one, I did not have to make any cuts. The peg just simply slid through one of the holes on the template, so we are good to go there. I have masked off our areas of completed Zimmerit so we don't get any ooze on the back side and potentially wreck it. So with that, I think we are ready to start applying our Zimmerit. Okay, I think we'll let that sit, and hopefully we'll have good results the next time we peel that off. Alrighty, here we are again. We're ready to peel our mesh template. Everything was completely dry, but I'm trying something a little bit different on this side. I've lightly re-moistened the wood filler, and I'm thinking that might help us have a little more success at peeling off the mesh template. So let's give it a try. So far, everything's looking pretty good here. I think the key to taking this off is just to kind of take your time and assess what's going on with it. And I'm trying to kind of roll it as much of a 90-degree angle as what I can. and just wiggling it back and forth, just being careful, you know, not to tear the thing off. You know, it's not like ripping a tablecloth off of a table and seeing what's left standing. So far, I think we're doing okay. I don't see any tear outs yet, knock on wood. I think we're hung up on the peg there a little bit. Okay. All right. I think that I think moistening that just before tearing off the template, I think that helped. So that might be something to keep in mind in the future. But I think my next move is I'm going to go ahead and clean up all these edges. And we'll take a look at it once again after I get it all cleaned up. And right here you'll be able to see me brushing away some of the light scaling that's left over from peeling the mesh off. And I'm just taking a dry, soft brush, and you can see a lot of that is kind of just flicking away. I'm just doing this very lightly because it is still kind of damp under there. I'm surprised, but just lightly brushing it like that gets rid of a lot of that loose scaling. So I think this would be a good spot to demonstrate redrawing in our Zimmerit lines. This would work if you had a small repair area that you needed to patch over, or in this case, it is an area from our mesh template, the square that we had to cut out to go around that bracket, filled in that area solid. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom us in and we'll scratch those lines back in. And just like that, I think that blends in pretty good and is virtually undetectable. Okay, so the masks came off pretty well. I'm happy with that. I've still got to do a little bit of cleaning along the top of the superstructure here and get the putty out of some of these weld seam lines across the engine deck. So I'll probably get that finished up and we'll have another look. And here I am just putting some Tamiya thin cement over the wood filler in the hopes that that will create a little extra hardness to the finish. That way you can handle it and hopefully it won't lose any of its detail. Just trying to create a hard crust over the detail. Well, I think I'm just about ready to wrap up this tutorial. It was a lot of fun to make. I shot video over about 4 days. So don't think I did this overnight, because I didn't. It took 4 days to do it, basically a day per side. And I do have one confession. This side here I did have to do over one time. When I peeled this side off, about 50% of the Zimmerit came off with it, and I still don't know why that happened, but I did it again and we got fairly satisfactory results with it. So overall, I'm really happy with the way everything turned out. It's not perfect by any means, but neither was Zimmerit in real life, so I think that just kind of adds to its authenticity a little bit. So I hope this inspires somebody to maybe have a go at this style Zimmerit. It's pretty straightforward. All you need is basically 2 ingredients, the wood filler and some screen. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you on the next one. So I'm just going to kind of, pull it this easy and not go real crazy on it. So we'll see what we get. Already a lot of it's peeling. Holy shit, man.